Hello, Vianney Griffins, and welcome to another video lecture surrounding the Reformation. Now that we've kind of talked about Martin Luther, the start of the Reformation, and then Henry VIII's spread of the Reformation to England and its complete takeover of England, it's time to kind of start looking at what does the Catholic Church do in response to all of this. It turns out that for years they don't even consider it a problem, and they just kind of let it go. They think Martin Luther is just a guy that's going to kind of crap out on him eventually, but he doesn't. His movement grows, and it eventually leads to the point where Catholics are looking around and wondering, what are they going to do if their religion is replaced by this new Protestant faith? So they kind of have excuse my pun here, but a come to Jesus moment where they just decide, okay, we probably should do something about this if we want to survive. So they launch what's known as the Counter-Reformation, a series of reforms put on by the church to respond to the spread of Protestantism. The Counter-Reformation is built on three principles, three strategies, you might even say. The Jesuits, the Council of Trent, and the Inquisition. The first one is the formation of what is known as the Jesuit Order. Now, you guys are fairly familiar with the Jesuit Order and what it stands for. But kind of just a little background history here for you. 1534, it's founded by Ignatius of Loyola. This is right in the heart of the Reformation and the start of the Counter-Reformation. The big kind of sell point for the Jesuits is education. Just much like the Marianists, they believe that through education, they can stop the Protestant ideas. I mean, this concept right here that you guys see, through education, we can stop Protestantism, is their main idea. Their philosophy behind this is that if a Catholic is well educated, then he or she will not switch to Protestant because only dumb Catholics switch to Protestant. So if they can educate people, then they will not switch to the Protestant faith. This will help them expand around the world as well as these Jesuits move to different countries and new areas of the world to conquer, educate, and convert. Schools that are Jesuit are still around all over the country and all around the world as representations of that mission. Even schools here in Missouri are great examples of Jesuit education. Rockhurst, DeSmet, St. Louis U High. All three of these examples are examples of the first strategy of the Catholic Church during the Reformation to educate people. The more people are educated, the less likely they are to switch to the Protestant faith. Their second strategy is known as the Council of Trent. You can see here it's a very long range time, but over the course of those, 18 years, they're going to meet several times. And during that, they're going to evaluate the concerns of the Protestants and decide if they have any merit. Any that do have any merit, they're going to change, and they're going to reinforce what doesn't have any merit. Quickly going through, they do make some changes after that 18-year-long period. They do reaffirm that the foundations of Catholic teaching are solid. But some of the things that Martin Luther really hated, like indulgences, they ended them. They completely shut down the indulgence system. Also, the corruption of these priests that we had talked about before was at least begun to be addressed by the fact that they were establishing training locations, training schools to train priests properly and therefore limit corruption. Some other ideas they completely reject. They also kind of realize at this point that there's really no way that they ever think that Catholics and Protestants are going to reunify into a grand religion. So the Council of Trent is an example of their second strategy, which is to reform themselves to better serve their people. It was somewhat successful by the reintroduction of Austria and Poland into Catholicism, and it's going to lead to a lot of new energy from different people. Our last strategy is known as the Inquisition. Started in 1542, the Inquisition was essentially the stick behind kind of the military force with the stick behind this counter-Reformation movement. Essentially, if you were not swayed to stay Catholic through education, if you were not convinced to come back to Catholicism through the Council of Trent, then the Inquisition was going to come around and essentially torture and kill you. This was a pretty big thing in places like Spain, France, and Italy. Less so in England and Germany, where Protestantism was so strong, but definitely in the areas where Protestantism was just starting to grab hold, the Inquisition was sent there to smash it. They were brutal, specifically in Spain. The Spanish Inquisition is a famous account throughout history, and we'll watch a couple of videos related to the Spanish Inquisition later. But they were famous for burning heretics, torturing people who disagree with them. I mean, in the end, the Spanish king and queen are going to give the Catholic Church free reign to do whatever they want in Spain. That's going to lead to 150,000 people persecuted, jailed in whatever way, and in between 3,000 and 5,000 people executed because of the torture and executions. This is kind of a controversial topic because it makes it kind of look like it might work, to be afraid of your religion. But at the same time, I don't know how much I would feel about joining a religion that feels okay torturing people in order to make them believe again. So there's kind of that, you can flip a coin on that one. One big thing that did come out of this Inquisition was the fact that both Protestants and Catholics, in this renewed energy to persecute each other, started persecuting other people besides Protestants and Catholics. Big targets for Protestants and Catholics were Jews and Muslims, who were both considered to be ultra heretics besides the Christians. In 1492, one of the most famous events in European history, all the Jews are kicked out of Spain. Shortly after that, all Muslims are kicked out of Spain or told to convert. If they failed to convert or leave, they were to be killed. And that's we're going to kind of take a look at what that means. Something else that kind of starts coming up at this time is this idea of witch hunts. This has a lot to do with the lack of scientific evidence that's occurring in Europe at the time, but also the fact that people are so much more radicalized right now in Europe about Christianity that anything that is even a little bit different, any kind of witchcraft or ancient gods or whatever, is seen as a threat, and the Christians will go after them and destroy them. This is the exact same time you see things like the Salem witch trials. Therefore, our third strategy in the Inquisition is to kill. If you can't educate, if you can't reform, then you should kill them. Big point here is that the Reformation as a whole is going to kind of bring forth a renewed religious energy through helping spread Christianity around the world. Since the Protestants and Catholics are fighting for converts, fighting each other, that means that they are working harder and harder and harder to convert people. And since they're working harder, that means that the faith is spreading more rapidly. So that renewed competition between the two is leading to renewed energy. The Reformation is also going to have some negative effects on the Catholic Church and church in general. Following the Reformation, people are going to see that religion can have a downside, and that maybe they should start turning away from religion as a whole, think secularism, and start identifying more with their nation instead of their church. So instead of being Protestant or Catholic, I'm going to be English or German or French. Many rulers, merchants, kings, queens, they decide that maybe religion should stay away because there seems to be a lot of problems that are going on with religion. The big point here, number 3, power is no longer solely associated with the Catholic Church. Okay, instead, you can associate a lot of power with an individual person. But a caveat for you, nations will still ally themselves with religion to gain power. But again, it's going to slowly start declining as an idea. That's it for today's Counter-Reformation lesson. Make sure to take the quiz later today over the content, just so that we can make sure that everything's good to go. All right, if you guys have any questions, make sure to email me. Have a great evening.